This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg TV. Thanks for coming along. The debate heating up on whether to impose work requirements and spending cuts in a looming debt deal. The Congressional Black Caucus saying now that setting these requirements would be, quote, cruel and ill-advised, calling it a recipe for expanding racial and gender disparities. Joining us now at this stage of the debate to talk about it all is Democratic Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan of Virginia. Congresswoman, welcome to Bloomberg. It's great to have you. Your district stretches from the city of Richmond to the rural areas in the southern portion of Virginia. So I suspect you're hearing a lot of different things right now. Though with what we heard from the CBC in mind, do you see the president's openness to additional work requirements as a betrayal to progressive Democrats?
Well, I think the CBC has made clear that any work requirements are a deal breaker for us, and I'm focused on making sure that that doesn't happen.
So you would not vote if ultimately the deal is reached between Speaker McCarthy and the White House that includes work requirements, which, relatively speaking, if the health benefits aren't touched, as the president has indicated he wouldn't support, is relatively a small amount. You would not vote yes and potentially allow the U.S. to default over that issue?
Well, here's the problem. If you have work requirements, particularly for Medicaid and SNAP, they have been proven not to be effective in actually having people in the workforce. What it would do is kick people off of these benefits. When you kick them off of Medicaid, they're still going to be treated. Those costs are going to be passed on to the rest of the healthcare system. It will impact both urban and rural hospitals. And so I think that you would basically be still causing a problem for the American people with those work requirements. We need to raise the debt ceiling cleanly and then have a separate conversation around spending going forward.
Well, what are you hearing about a final product here, Congresswoman? There's been a lot of talk today about various contours of this deal, and some of the elements could be difficult to pass once this gets to the floor and once it gets to the Senate, for that matter. Here's Senator Bernie Sanders talking today in a news conference about potentially invoking the 14th Amendment instead of going down the road that we're discussing. Let's listen.
If you don't do what we demand that you do, we are prepared to allow the United States government to default and bring our economy and the world's economy into turmoil. That's what the Republicans are essentially saying.
If it's an alternative to additional work requirements or some of the other elements we're discussing, Congresswoman, would you support that path?
I support a clean bill to raise the debt ceiling, and then we can have conversations about spending going forward. We've done that 78 times. We did that 3 times under the previous administration, and that's where I hope we will land between now and June 1st or around that time. And I think the Republicans' attempt to hold our economy hostage for their preferred policy cuts is irresponsible.
Yeah. But should the president consider something like the 14th Amendment as an alternative to this debate?
I think the president is looking at all options and is hopeful that we will have a clean increase of the debt ceiling in time.
Speaking of some of those options, we also know that some of your colleagues in the House put forward a discharge petition as a potential avenue to raise the debt ceiling. I believe, Congresswoman, that you signed it. But do you really think that stands a chance in this House of Representatives?
You know, I think I am an eternal optimist, so I am hopeful that we will get there one way or another, and that discharge petition is one option.
Well, there are certainly a lot of options here, Congresswoman, but I'd like to get to your district. That's where we started here. You've got a very unique situation where you're representing a blue capital city and potentially very red rural areas. How do you straddle the interests of such a diverse district in Virginia?
Frankly, when I was in the state legislature for almost 18 years, I saw that the needs of rural America, rural Virginia, and urban Virginia are very similar. Both have issues with access to health care. Both have issues with access to food security, access to jobs that pay well. And I think when we focus more on what we have in common, then we will have a much better product. And I have done that for 18 years as a state legislator. I'm focused on doing that here in Congress as well.
And of course, in Congress, you sit on a few different committees, including the Armed Services Committee. Obviously, Virginia is a state with a heavy military and veteran presence. Your district is right next to the district in which Norfolk and all of that military presence is there. On the subject of armed services, I'm sure you're well aware of what is happening in the Senate, what Senator Tuberville is doing, holding up some of these defense nominees. What are you hearing in House Armed Services about the potential damage that could cause, what that is doing?
I mean, that is particularly irresponsible. I joined a letter from particularly the women on the Armed Services Committee pushing for the confirmations to move forward. Again, we should not be holding our military leadership hostage because we are trying to give access to comprehensive health care to all of our service members. And that's exactly what he's doing, and it's irresponsible.
Well, let's hold with that just for a moment while we're talking about the Pentagon. Congresswoman, you're aware that there's a lot of discussion about defense spending right now. There have actually been some conservative Republicans suggesting that we need to cut defense spending and not continue funding the war in Ukraine. Are you worried about what the Pentagon will be left with at the end of this debate in Washington?
Look, we need to fund our defense budget to the level that we need to protect American interests at home and abroad and protect democracy, not just here in America, but in Europe and in the Ukraine. We know that if Putin is successful in his illegal invasion in the Ukraine, it won't end there. History has proven that. And so I think we need to make sure that we give our armed services what they need to do their job.
All right, Congresswoman, we will leave it on that note. Thank you so much for your time this evening. That's Representative Jennifer McClellan of Virginia, a Democrat. Thank you very much.